Hello everyone, this is Raven here with another gameplay battle replay of the Wood Elves versus the Vampire Count. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the action here and take a look at the armies brought to bear today. So for my lord, you can see the Glade Lord over here with the Arrows of Kurnos, the Prey of Anathrema, and the Potion of Toughness. And that's all I brought for her today. And the reason I did this is because I had a quite expensive army, and I'll get to that in just a moment. So over here, you can see that I actually brought two Waystalkers. So right here, this is going to be what really cost a lot for my army. They both have the Arrows of Kurnos ability, which is going to put their cost to, I believe, about 860 to almost 900 each, somewhere in that range. So about 1,800 resources right there, plus the 1700 of the Glade Lord up here. So in total, my leadership core is going to be pretty expensive. And in the back, you can actually see that I have a single spell singer of life, and she only has one spell on her, which is Earth Blood, and then she has the Earth Bloom ability for the extra healing whenever she uses a spell of life. So I was only actually able to bring her with one spell and no mount because I spent so much money on these two Waystalkers and the Glade Lord up here. So the reason I wanted to bring these guys is just because I never really get to see them that much in multiplayer, and I think they're a pretty interesting unit, and I have a friend that recently joined the game that he likes these two units quite a lot, and I just tried to use them to the best effect that I could today, just to show them off for him. So we'll see what they can do. So for my front line, you can go ahead and see that I have 3 units of Eternal Guard with shields right here, holding down the front pretty hard, and then right on top of them, you're going to see 2 units of Treekin, and then on either flank, you have a Tree Man. So this is going to be a very tanky, sturdy front line, and in the back right here, I have the War Dancers with Azrai Spears, so I'm just bringing these for the anti-cavalry abilities that they bring. You can see that they have extremely high armor-piercing damage with 20 and an amazing 23 bonus versus large. So that's just going to be super stellar, especially in the forest where they are right now. They're going to have that charge defense versus large whenever they get charged by any cavalry while they're braced. So that's going to be really beneficial. So over here you can see that I'm initially taking some pot shots off, and we're going to get to the action any second now, but we're going to go ahead and take a look at our opponent's army. So that's going to be 3 units of Black Knights over here. So they're going to be pretty good about getting into any infantry and being able to do some pretty good damage against them. So they have pretty high weapons damage, which is fine. Pretty low armor piercing damage, which is also fine because Wood Elves in general have very low armor compared to their tree units, but I didn't bring that many tree units, but still they'll do good work if they're able to get into the front lines where the tree units are not. And in the center you can see that he actually brought 5 Grave Guard, so their high armor, high weapon strength, and silver shields are actually going to make them a good pick against the Wood Elves. So they'll be able to block a lot of missile attacks and be able to get into the front line and chop up any infantry that come against them. Over here on the flank, you can see 2 Blood Knights tied together with the support of 2 Fellbats in the air. So being able to try and tie down Hawk Riders or any of my missile units in the back lines with these units, while the Blood Knights try and get in anywhere juicy, as well as these Black Knights try and get in for some flanking hits and have the front line just be held down by their own Grave Guard. So we're going to go ahead and hit play. We're going to take a look at what's going to be happening. So over here you can see that my Waystalkers are just going to get some initial pot shots off on these Grave Guard. So the aiming on AI is a little bit silly sometimes. They don't typically pick the center of the formation for units, so you can see that they're just going to be shooting over here in this little line, and they're going to be missing quite a few units when they could be doing way more. And same thing for my lady over here, choosing to pick this single column to do damage to. So as the battle goes on, I'm going to be changing up their targets a little bit. So for now, you can see that he's doing a little bit of scouting with his Fellbats. Not able to see anything yet, didn't get quite close enough, but you can see that my units did come out of hiding for just a moment and revealed themselves. And over here I positioned my army so they're right inside the tree line, but my Waystalkers are still able to shoot through this opening right here, and I put my Glade Lady above them just so she's able to support them from anything that might be coming my way. So they're going to start doing some damage to this unit, and I'm going to start deciding to spread it out, hit these 3 units, one here, and one here. So each of their bows are going to be able to do some pretty good piercing damage and able to kill a few models before they get into the initial fight. Over here you see some pretty juicy arrows of Kurnos going off, and oh, that was just painful. That was a very brutal hit right there. That was able to do almost 1,000 damage. So right here, my Glade Lady actually doesn't shoot hers off. She was a little bit bugged this fight. I tried getting her to shoot it on this unit like several times. I'm not quite sure the number that I did, but I re-clicked that ability more times than I'd want, and it didn't actually ever fire off. Eventually, I'm able to use it on his lord when he gets a little bit closer. You're going to see that I'm going to be able to net him down and start trying to focus him down pretty soon. So you can see I netted him down. He actually cast a heal over here, so this is a little bit of a waste, sadly. He's going to be only healing up this one unit, whereas he could have saved for when the units actually all got engaged and grouped up, and he could have had a more beneficial heal for everybody. So over here you can see that I'm initially taking some shots with my lady at him, and then there go the arrows of Kurnos finally. But sadly, my units over here, the Waystalkers, are going to be shooting into this hill right here. They are obstructed just slightly. And then in the back you can see that the Blood Knights are on the flank and the Black Knights are ready to charge. They're just getting prepped, primed, and ready. They think that this is just the juiciest target possible, but they'll be sadly mistaken because they're going to be charging straight into the Subtreeman and Azrai Dancers. As the front lines clash, he's going to start sending in his Knights to try and do their work. Over here you can actually see that I sent in my Hawk Rider with my two Waystalkers, my Glade Lady with my two Waystalkers to try and shoot through his Lord real quick. You can see that they get some initial good damage on him, but he starts healing himself and runs away. He's got some pretty good movement speed, and while she's running, she actually can't catch him, and neither can these guys. So they're just being a little bit wasted right here. In the front line, you can see that I go ahead and pop an Earth Flood because I've been rear charged pretty heavily by these Black Knights in the back. These Blood Knights over here have got a pretty good surround against all my units, but these Azrai Spears are going to be chopping through all these large units, especially in the woods where they have the charge defense versus large, so they negate that charge bonus, and then my treatment in here is going to be taking a lot of damage and being able to dish quite a lot out with that 500 weapon strength. So in the front line, you can see that my Eternal Guard with shields are actually doing alright for themselves. They're being healed up by the Earth Blood. I'm trying to get the extended cast off for the 15 cost mana. And you can see that my Tricken, I tried to put them into the juiciest targets possible. So the highest blob density units that I could, I just charged straight into them with my Tricken. Over here you can see that they're trying to take the brunt of the charge of these Black Knights, and in the middle you can see that my Azrai Spear are getting a little bit spread thin and trying to fend off these Blood Knights with their extremely high weapon strength and good charge damage. So this will be a little bit of an advantageous fight for me in the long run because I have the Spell Singer with the Lore of Life in here trying to do damage. Over here you can see that I actually net down these Black Knights before they get in here and try and take out my Glade Lord. So she was actually taking a little bit of damage from my from the fight with the Vampire Lord, so I start pulling her out. And I start trying to do some good work with that arrow of Kurnos, but it actually gets blocked by a tree. But it does get a couple models killed right there. So over here you can see that I actually have two Waystalkers engaging this unit of Graveguard, and they're going to tie these guys down almost indefinitely. So he pulls down his Black Knights trying to engage them and help take out these two heroes right here. But they're actually pretty decent melee combatants, and they'll be able to stay in the fight for a pretty long time, especially with their high weapon strength. They're going to be able to do some pretty good damage against all these units. Over here, my Lord starts losing this fight, especially when he pulls in these Felbats to start acting as some fodder and start soaking up some of that splash damage. So it's not all focused onto his Lord. So this is going to make this fight go in his favor pretty heavily. Over here you can see that this unit of Eternal Guards catches these Black Knights who are mismicroed currently, and his front line gets pulled back. So actually what he's trying to do here is avoid the fight in the forest right here, because as you can see, it has just been a slaughter. All his cavalry is just dying in the back lines. It's been a pretty brutal fight for him, and you don't see that many bodies of the Wood Elves right here, so they're going to start charging forward, trying to catch these guys with some rear charges before they're able to set back up and charge back forward at me. I pull in my treatment and start trying to do as much damage against these Graveguard as possible, and here I pull in my Eternal Guard with shields, start trying to support my Lord so she can escape, and you can see that these Felbats are actually going to start crumbling and try to engage my Lord again, and she's going to be able to do some good work against them. That's not going to be a very good engagement for them, so he's practically just throwing these resources away, excuse me. And over here you can see that my Eternal Guard are actually engaged against Knights and his Vampire Lord on a Barded Steed, I believe it is, for that 110 armor. So that's going to be pretty good for them. They're going to be able to do some armor-piercing damage, get that bonus versus large as well, and do some good work against all these units right here. I pull my treatment in here to try and support the back line, and over here you see that I pulled in these Treekin because my two Waystalkers started taking quite a lot of damage. They haven't been able to finish these two units off by themselves. With the help of these Treekin in the back giving that rear charge penalty, they're going to be able to break the morale of these two units, I think, and be able to tank out some of the damage and take some of the focus off these two units. In the front you can see that I have a Eternal Guard with shields in the back, and I'm just holding them in reserve to be able to plug in any holes that I see where somebody starts to falter. You can see these Treekin are actually tanking out against 3 units right here in the front. That Graveguard, another Graveguard, and a Summoned with zombies. And in the back you can see I'm trying to bring in the Azrai Spear and Eternal Guard to help tank out some of the damage and get rid of these zombies, while my Tree Man over here starts trying to do the real work of the army. Over here these Eternal Guard with spears falter, and I'm going to pull in my Tree Man. I was going to go after the Blood Knights, but I decided to go ahead and start putting some damage on his Lord because I need to get rid of his Lord. If if I'm going to want to win this battle once and for all. You can see an Arrows of Karnos coming in there and hitting his Lord right in the back. Over here, these Knights are going to lose that net, and they're going to start charging in here to his Knights, to my Tree Man, excuse me. Over here, I just start trying to unleash all the Arrows of Karnos I had from these Waystalkers. So over here, this one actually fired and caught these Knights. This one fired and got the back line and started breaking their morale. And with the army losses and my units just being so healthy, his units go ahead and start doing the mass crumbling and disintegrating and go ahead and die on the battlefield, leaving only his Lord and the Blood Knights left alive, but not for very long. As you can see, he would have died any second with my 2 tree men chasing after him and my Glade Lady up above ready to pounce on him. So overall, I think my opponent wanted to go with a more cavalry-focused build because you see a lot of kiting wood elves that bring lots of deep wood scouts and things like that, able to fire in that 360-degree arc, and they just kite your army away for quite some time and whittle them down with their arrows and allow for the front line to get a stronger engagement, even though they might be a little bit cheaped out because you went so heavy in the missile department. But I pulled the fast one on him. I went with a more sturdy front line build, got some Eternal Guard and some really heavy tree units to do that heavy-duty front-line tanking, and then the Lore of Life being only was really well synchronized with my low model units like the Tree Men and the Treekin, able to do some really good healing on them before they started losing models and be able to put them to their max efficiency. And my 2 Waystalkers back here actually did quite a bit of damage. If we go ahead and end this replay, you'll see that they actually got 66 and 54 kills between them, and 51 kills on my Glade Lady. So they're able to whittle down these 3 formations of Graveguard quite considerably, and then being able to put them in the back and tie up a Graveguard and a Black Knight and reduce some of that mobility that he had, that was pretty beneficial. And then the Treekin over here, as you can see, they don't really get that many kills, but that's not what they're for. They held down the line exactly like I wanted them to. My Azrai Spears were able to shut down all the cavalry. Everything in here was just decimated. As you can see, these Black Knights underperformed so terribly. 0 kills, and 2 kills respectively, and his Blood Knights also didn't get as many kills as he would have hoped for because he put them onto the Azrai Spear, and they have the better stats in the long run to be able to take out almost any cavalry unit. And as you can see, I think that's what it was. He just wasn't able to get that cost-effective engagement with all of his units like he had wanted. And in the end, attrition won through for the Wood Elves, and that was it. So as always, guys, if you would like, leave a comment in the sections down below. If you would like to leave some criticism on what you'd like to see some armies that you would like, or any criticism to help me improve my commentary. And leave a like if you like what you see, and subscribe if you like to see more content. All right, see y'all later.